The queen led Elias deeper into the hive, her massive form gliding effortlessly through narrow tunnels that seemed to pulse with life. The walls shimmered faintly, casting an otherworldly glow over everything. Strange symbols etched into the crystalline surfaces flickered as they passed, almost like they were alive, watching him. Despite his exhaustion and confusion, Elias couldn't help but marvel at the alien architecture. It was beautiful and terrifying. As they walked, the queen spoke to him telepathically, her voice calm yet firm. Asterisk, "You are not like my drones," asterisk, she said, her tone carrying both curiosity and authority. Asterisk, "Your body is fragile, your mind restless. But there is something about you, a spark I have not seen before." Asterisk. Elias frowned, unsure how to respond. "I'm just a pilot," he muttered aloud, though he knew she could hear his thoughts anyway. "Nothing special." The queen chuckled softly, a sound that reverberated in his skull like distant thunder. Asterisk, "Modesty is rare among beings of your kind." Fascinating. Asterisk, she paused mid-step, turning one of her many eyes toward him. Asterisk, "Tell me, human, why do you resist so much? Is it fear or arrogance?" Asterisk, "I don't even know where I am or what you want from me." Elias snapped, his frustration boiling over. "One minute I'm flying my ship, the next I'm being dragged here by your bugs." The queen tilted her head, studying him intently. For a moment, Elias thought she might punish him for his outburst, but instead, she emitted a low hum, almost soothing. Asterisk, "Patience, little one. All will become clear in time. For now, you must focus on recovery. You cannot serve me if you collapse from fatigue." Asterisk, "As serve you?" Elias stammered, his stomach sinking. "What do you mean?" Without answering directly, the queen gestured with one of her clawed limbs, and two drones appeared, carrying a tray-like object filled with glowing liquid. They placed it before him, bowing respectfully. The substance smelled sweet, almost floral, but Elias hesitated. Asterisk, "Drink." Asterisk, the queen commanded gently. Asterisk, "It will restore your strength." Asterisk. Reluctantly, Elias reached for the tray and took a sip. To his surprise, the liquid tasted warm and comforting, flooding his veins with energy. His aches began to fade, replaced by a strange sense of alertness. He blinked, looking up at the queen. "What was that?" Asterisk, "Nectar harvested from our workers." Asterisk, she replied matter-of-factly. Asterisk, "A gift to ensure productivity. Now, come. There is much to learn and much to do." Asterisk. Before Elias could protest further, the queen ushered him into a vast chamber bustling with activity. Drones scurried everywhere, tending to larvae, repairing damaged tunnels, and performing countless tasks with mechanical precision. In the center of the room stood a massive crystalline structure pulsating with light. Workers gathered around it, their movements synchronized as they channeled energy into its core. The queen gestured toward the scene. Asterisk, "This is the heart of my colony. Everything we do serves its growth and survival. And now so shall you." Asterisk. Elias stared at her, incredulous. "Wait, wait, wait. You dragged me here to work. That's insane. I'm not one of your drones." The queen's expression softened, though her gaze remained piercing. Asterisk, "Do not mistake this for servitude, human. This is purpose. My people thrive on constant motion, unyielding effort. Rest weakens them, and you, it seems, are no different." Asterisk. "But humans need rest," Elias argued. "We're not built like your drones. We can't keep going forever." The queen tilted her head again, intrigued. Asterisk. "Then perhaps you require guidance. Let us test your limits, shall we?" Asterisk. With a wave of her limb, she summoned several drones, who immediately surrounded Elias. Before he could react, they handed him tools, and directed him toward a nearby tunnel clogged with debris. Begin clearing the passage. The queen instructed. Show me what you are capable of. Elias groaned inwardly, knowing resistance was futile. As he started working, he noticed something odd. The more he moved, the less tired he felt. The nectar lingered in his system, fueling his muscles and sharpening his focus. For the first time since the crash, he didn't feel completely drained. Still, every time he slowed down, the queen's voice echoed in his mind. You can't be tired already. Surely you're not done yet. Despite himself, Elias found a rhythm. Maybe it wasn't so bad after all, or at least, that's what he tried to convince himself. Days turned into what felt like weeks inside the hive. Though Elias couldn't be sure, time seemed to blur in this alien world, where the glowing walls pulsed rhythmically, and the queen's melodic voice echoed constantly in his mind. At first, he had resented every task she assigned him. Clearing tunnels, sorting larvae, even participating in bizarre energy rituals. But something strange began to happen. The more he worked, the less tired he felt. His body adapted to the relentless pace, fueled by the mysterious nectar and the queen's unwavering encouragement. One evening, or what passed for evening in the hive, the queen summoned him to her private chamber. It was a vast, cavernous space, filled with shimmering crystals that hummed softly, casting an ethereal light over everything. She lounged on a raised platform made of interwoven fibers, her massive form radiating both power and grace. Her multiple eyes gleamed as she watched him approach. You have proven resilient, she said, her telepathic voice tinged with approval. Stronger than I anticipated. Elias wiped sweat from his brow, leaning against one of the crystalline pillars for support. Yeah, well, it's hard not to when you keep pushing me, he replied, trying to sound sarcastic, but failing to hide a hint of pride. Despite himself, he had grown accustomed to the work, and maybe even enjoyed parts of it. The queen chuckled, a sound that reverberated through the chamber like distant music. Tell me, human, why does your kind resist so much? Do you fear progress, or do you simply lack purpose? Elias frowned, taken aback by her question. He thought about Earth, about humanity's endless struggles, for resources, for power, for meaning. It's not that we resist progress, he said slowly. We just go about it differently. Humans value rest, creativity, freedom. We're not machines. The queen tilted her head, intrigued. Freedom is a curious concept. Does it bring you happiness, or does it leave you aimless, scattered? Elias hesitated. How could he explain centuries of human history to someone who saw life through the lens of productivity and unity? Instead, he decided to shift the conversation. What about you? Why are you so obsessed with keeping everyone busy all the time? For a moment, the queen was silent. Her many eyes dimmed slightly, as if lost in thought. Then she spoke, her tone softer now. My people thrive on harmony. Without constant effort, chaos takes root. I have seen it before. Rebellion, destruction. It nearly tore my colony apart. Her words gave Elias pause. For the first time, he glimpsed vulnerability beneath her commanding exterior. Perhaps there was more to her methods than mere control. As they continued talking, Elias found himself sharing stories of Earth, of towering cities, breathtaking art, and the boundless curiosity that drove humanity to explore the stars. The queen listened intently, her fascination growing with each tale. In return, she shared glimpses of her own culture, the intricate dances performed by worker drones, the symbiotic relationships between different castes, the delicate balance required to maintain the hive's energy core. But not everything was harmonious. As their bond deepened, Elias began noticing cracks in the queen's utopia. Some drones avoided eye contact when he passed, whispering among themselves in low clicks. Others worked mechanically, their movements devoid of enthusiasm. One day, while repairing a damaged tunnel, a drone named Crix approached him cautiously. Asterisk. The Queen drives us too hard. Asterisk. Crix whispered telepathically, his voice trembling with suppressed anger. Asterisk. She thinks only of the hive, never of us. We suffer because of her obsession. Asterisk. Elias stared at Crix, unsure how to respond. Was this drone speaking the truth, or was he simply bitter? Before he could ask, Crix scuttled away, disappearing into the crowd of workers. That night, lying on a makeshift bed of woven fibers, Elias pondered what Crix had said. The Queen's methods were strict, yes, but they also seemed to stem from genuine care for her colony. Could there be another way? A middle ground? As sleep finally claimed him, Elias realized something important. He cared, not just about surviving, but about understanding. And perhaps, just perhaps, he could help bridge the gap between the Queen and her discontented subjects. The next day, Elias couldn't shake the unease that had settled in his chest. Crix's words echoed in his mind like a warning bell. Asterisk. She thinks only of the hive, never of us. Asterisk. Was the Queen truly blind to the suffering of her drones, or was she simply unwilling to change? Either way, Elias knew he couldn't ignore what he'd heard. He decided to investigate further, hoping to understand the discontent simmering beneath the hive's surface. As he worked alongside the drones, Elias began paying closer attention to their behavior. Some moved with mechanical precision, their eyes dull and lifeless, while others exchanged furtive glances or whispered cryptically in clicks and hums. It didn't take long for him to notice patterns. Certain groups of drones gathered in secluded corners during breaks, their movements hurried and secretive. They were planning something, but what? One evening, as the glow of the hive dimmed slightly, a sign that the colony was winding down for rest, Elias spotted Crix again. The rebellious drone beckoned him into an abandoned tunnel, its walls cracked and darkened from disrepair. Hesitant but curious, Elias followed. Asterisk. You've seen it, haven't you? Asterisk. Crix asked telepathically, his voice low and urgent. Asterisk. The exhaustion, the despair. The Queen drains us, leaving nothing behind but shells. Asterisk. Elias frowned, folding his arms across his chest. I've noticed some unrest, sure, but why not talk to her? Maybe she doesn't realize how bad things have gotten. Crix clicked angrily, his mandibles snapping together. Asterisk. Talk. She would never listen. Her obsession blinds her. If we want change, we must force it. Asterisk. Force it. Elias repeated, his stomach sinking. What does that mean? Crix hesitated, then leaned closer, lowering his voice even further. Asterisk. We plan to destroy the energy core, the heart of the hive. Without it, the Queen will have no choice but to step down. Then we can rebuild. On our terms. Asterisk. Elias stared at Crix, his mind racing. Destroying the energy core. That wasn't just rebellion, it was suicide. Without the core, the entire colony would collapse, killing thousands of innocent drones in the process. Whatever Crix's intentions, they weren't noble, they were reckless. You're insane, Elias said firmly. That'll kill everyone. Is that really what you want? Crix's eyes narrowed, glowing faintly in the darkness. Asterisks. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for freedom. Would your kind hesitate if it meant saving yourselves? Asterisk. Before Elias could respond, Crix scuttled away, disappearing into the shadows. Left alone in the tunnel, Elias felt torn. On one hand, he sympathized with the drone's frustration. On the other, he couldn't condone such destructive plans. Something about Crix's words felt off, almost manipulative. Was this truly about freeing the colony, or did Crix have ulterior motives? Determined to uncover the truth, Ilias ventured deeper into the hive over the next few days. He eavesdropped on whispered conversations, piecing together fragments of information. What he discovered chilled him. Crix wasn't acting out of altruism. He sought power, aiming to seize control of the hive once the queen fell. The rebellion wasn't about liberation. It was about replacing one tyrant with another. Armed with this knowledge, Ilias knew he had to act. But who could he trust? The queen might see his interference as betrayal, while the rebels would view him as an enemy. As he stood in the dimly lit tunnels, staring at the pulsating glow of the energy core in the distance, Ilias realized there was no easy solution. Suddenly, a familiar melodic voice filled his mind. Asterisk, you seem troubled, human. Asterisk, the queen said softly. Startled, Ilias turned to see her towering figure approaching, her many eyes gleaming with suspicion. Asterisk, have you been keeping secrets from me? Asterisk. Ilias swallowed hard, knowing this conversation would decide everything. The queen's presence filled the narrow tunnel, her iridescent scales shimmering faintly in the dim light. Her multiple eyes bore into Ilias, sharp and unyielding, as if she could peel back the layers of his thoughts without effort. Asterisks. Speak. Asterisk, she commanded, her telepathic voice calm but laced with authority. Asterisk, what troubles you? Asterisk. Ilias hesitated, his heart pounding. He knew he had to tread carefully. Revealing too much might make the queen see him as a traitor. Saying too little could doom the entire colony. Taking a deep breath, he decided to start with honesty. Your Majesty, he began, choosing his words carefully. I've noticed unrest among some of your drones. They're unhappy, exhausted. Some are even talking about rebellion. The queen's expression didn't change, though her tail twitched slightly, a sign that she was listening intently. Asterisk, go on, asterisk, she urged, her tone softer now. One of them, Crix, approached me. He said the hive's demands are unbearable, and that destroying the energy core is the only way to bring change. Ilias paused, watching for any reaction from the queen. When she remained silent, he continued. But I don't think it's just about freedom. Crix wants power. If the core is destroyed, he plans to take over. For a moment, the queen said nothing. The hum of the hive seemed to grow louder around them, pressing against Ilias's ears. Then, slowly, she lowered herself onto her haunches, bringing her massive head closer to his level. Asterisk, you have done well to tell me this, asterisk, she said finally, her voice tinged with both gratitude and sadness. Asterisk, but do you understand why I push my people so hard? Why there can be no rest? Asterisk. Ilias shook his head. Not entirely. I know you care about the hive, but maybe there's another way. Humans thrive when we balance work and rest. Maybe your drones need the same. The queen tilted her head thoughtfully, her many eyes dimming slightly. Asterisk balance. Asterisk, she murmured, almost to herself. For the first time since meeting her, Ilias saw uncertainty in her gaze. It was fleeting, but undeniable. Determined to help, Ilias suggested exploring the hive's history. Perhaps clues lay hidden in its ancient records. The queen agreed, guiding him to a secluded chamber deep within the fortress. Inside, glowing crystals lined the walls, each one etched with intricate symbols that pulsed faintly. These were the archives, the collective memory of her ancestors. Using a clawed limb, the queen activated one of the crystals, causing images to flicker across its surface. Scenes unfolded before Ilias. Past queens leading their colonies through prosperity, followed by devastating rebellions that nearly wiped out entire hives. In every case, chaos stemmed from periods of stagnation, when workers grew idle and discontent spread like a disease. Asterisk, my predecessors learned the hard way, asterisk, the queen explained, her voice heavy with regret. Asterisk, rest breeds weakness. Without purpose, my people falter. But perhaps, asterisk, she trailed off, staring at the crystal. Asterisk, Perhaps I have taken it too far. Asterisk. Elias nodded, sensing an opening. Maybe it's not about stopping work altogether. It's about giving them moments to recharge. Even machines need maintenance, right? The Queen considered this, her mandibles clicking softly. Though still skeptical, she seemed willing to entertain the idea. Together, they spent hours poring over the archives, searching for examples of colonies that had thrived under different systems. Slowly, a plan began to form in Elias's mind, one that balanced productivity with rest, discipline with freedom. As they worked side by side, Elias couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. The Queen wasn't infallible, but she was open to change. And for the first time since arriving, he felt like he truly belonged, not as a prisoner or worker, but as someone who could make a difference. But outside the archive chamber, danger loomed. Crix and his followers were growing impatient, unaware that their plot had been uncovered. The clock was ticking, and Elias knew they wouldn't wait much longer. The hum of the hive grew louder as tension filled the air like a storm waiting to break. Elias and the Queen had barely begun discussing their plan for reform when distant tremors shook the ground beneath them. Dust rained down from the ceiling of the archive chamber, and the glowing crystals flickered erratically. Asterisk. They're attacking the core. Asterisk, the Queen hissed, her voice sharp with alarm. Without hesitation, she rose to her full height, her massive form casting a shadow over Elias. Asterisk, stay here. This is not your fight. Asterisk. But Elias wasn't about to let her face this alone. Not after everything they discussed. No way, he said firmly, grabbing a shard of crystalline debris from the floor. If Crix succeeds, everyone dies, including you. I'm coming with you. For a moment, the Queen hesitated, her multiple eyes locking onto his face. Then, with a low hum that might have been gratitude or acceptance, she nodded. Asterisk, very well. But stay close. My drones are loyal, but fear can make them reckless. Asterisk. Together, they raced through the twisting tunnels, the vibrations growing stronger with each step. The once orderly hive was now in chaos. Drones scurried in panic, some carrying larvae to safety while others tried desperately to repair collapsing walls. The energy core's pulsating glow could be seen even from afar, its light erratic and unstable. When they reached the central chamber, the scene was devastating. Crix and his followers had already breached the outer layers of the core, their claws tearing at the delicate structure. Sparks flew everywhere, and the air crackled with raw energy. Workers loyal to the Queen clashed with the rebels, their mandibles clicking furiously as they fought for control. Elias scanned the chaos, his eyes landing on Crix near the heart of the core. The rebellious drone stood atop a jagged piece of debris, shouting commands to his followers. His eyes glowed with manic determination. Asterisk. This ends now. Asterisk, Crix roared telepathically, raising a makeshift weapon toward the core. Asterisk down with the tyrant. Asterisk. Before Crix could strike, Elias sprang into action. Dodging falling rubble and swarms of battling drones, he sprinted toward the rebel leader. Crix noticed him too late, swinging his weapon wildly. Elias ducked under the blow, using the shard of crystal in his hand to disarm Crix with a swift strike. The two grappled fiercely, their movements clumsy but desperate. You don't understand what you're doing, Elias shouted, struggling to pin Crix down. Destroying the core won't free anyone. It'll kill us all. Crix snarled, his strength fueled by rage. Asterisk, freedom comes at a price, human. Something you'll never understand. Asterisk. Just as Crix raised a clawed limb to deliver a killing blow, a deafening roar echoed through the chamber. The Queen surged forward, her massive body bowling over nearby drones as she lunged at Crix. With one powerful swipe, she sent him sprawling across the floor, dazed and bleeding. Breathing heavily, Elias stumbled back, clutching his side where Crix's claw had grazed him. The Queen loomed over the defeated rebel, her voice cold and commanding. Asterisk. Enough. Your greed has endangered my colony. You will answer for this. Asterisk. Crix glared up at her, defiance burning in his eyes. But he said nothing. Defeated, he allowed himself to be dragged away by loyal drones. With the immediate threat neutralized, workers rushed to stabilize the damaged core. Elias watched as the Queen directed them, her focus unwavering despite the destruction around her. When the core's glow steadied again, she turned to Elias, her expression softening slightly. Asterisk, you risked much today, asterisk, she said quietly. Asterisk, why? Asterisk, because balance matters, Elias replied, meeting her gaze. Even queens need help sometimes. Her mandibles clicked softly, almost like a smile. For the first time, Elias saw something new in her eyes. Trust. And with that, hope began to bloom, not just for the hive, but for the bond between two very different beings who had found common ground in the face of disaster. In the days that followed, the hive slowly began to heal. The damage to the energy core was extensive, but under the Queen's guidance, and with Elias's help, the workers repaired it piece by piece. The once chaotic tunnels were cleared of debris, and the hum of productivity returned, though it felt different this time. There was a newfound rhythm to the work, punctuated by moments of rest and even laughter. For the first time in what seemed like generations, the drones weren't just surviving. They were thriving. Elias played an integral role in implementing the changes he and the Queen had discussed. Drawing inspiration from human practices, they introduced scheduled breaks where drones could gather in communal areas to share food, stories, or simply relax. Some began crafting intricate designs on the walls, turning the crystalline surfaces into works of art. Others experimented with new ways to channel energy more efficiently, their creativity blossoming now that they weren't constantly pushed to exhaustion. The Queen herself underwent a transformation. Though still fiercely protective of her colony, she adopted a gentler approach, encouraging innovation alongside discipline. She often joined the drones during these designated rest periods, observing their interactions with quiet fascination. One evening, as Elias sat beside her in a glowing chamber filled with resting workers, he noticed her mandibles twitching, an expression he'd come to recognize as contentment. Asterisk, this balance you spoke of, asterisk, she said telepathically, her voice softer than usual. Asterisk, it is strange, but it feels right. Asterisk. Elias smiled, leaning back against one of the shimmering crystals. Balance isn't always easy, but it makes life better. For everyone. The Queen tilted her head, studying him thoughtfully. Asterisk. And you, human, what will you do now? Will you return to your kind? Asterisk. Elias hesitated, staring at the pulsating glow of the hive around them. He had been offered freedom multiple times since the rebellion was quelled, but each time he found himself lingering. The hive had become more than just a place. It was home. The bond he shared with the Queen and her people was unlike anything he'd experienced before. Here, he wasn't just a pilot who had crashed on an alien planet. He was someone who mattered. I think I'll stay a while longer, he said finally, meeting her gaze. There's still so much to learn, and so much we can achieve together. The Queen's eyes gleamed faintly, and for a moment, Elias swore he saw something akin to pride in her expression. Asterisk, very well. Asterisk, she replied, her tone warm. Asterisk, but remember, little one, you cannot be tired already. We've only just started. Asterisk. Her words brought a chuckle to his lips, and he shook his head. Guess I'll never hear the end of that, huh? As the hive settled into its new routine, Elias realized how much he had changed. Once a cynical loner haunted by past failures, he now embraced life with renewed purpose. Helping the Queen and her colony find harmony had reignited something within him, a belief in the power of cooperation, understanding, and growth. One day, as he stood beside the Queen overlooking the bustling activity below, she turned to him with a rare gesture, a soft hum that resonated deep within his chest. Asterisk, you have given my people a gift, asterisk, she said. Asterisk, not just rest, but hope. And for that, I am grateful. Asterisk. Elias nodded, feeling a swell of pride. We did it together. That's what makes it special. In that moment, Elias understood that sometimes the greatest challenges lead to the most unexpected rewards. The crash landing that had brought him here might have been an accident, but staying, fighting, and building a future with the Queen and her colony, that was destiny. Far above, the crystalline spires of the hive glimmered under the pale light of the distant sun, a testament to resilience, unity, and the beauty of finding balance, even in the unlikeliest of places.